Welcome to another episode of Behind the Strategy, a place for conversations, a place to find out and reveal all. What is behind your strategy? And I'm here with the lovely Dobreva. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
You did not know what to expect. In fact, what did you just say to me?
I literally am stepping into this not knowing what's going to happen because that's life with Kate. You never know. Maybe you're going to end up jumping from a cliff with a bungee strapped onto you. Maybe you're going to end up just delivering a great TEDx talk. Who knows?
Who knows indeed.
Maybe you end up adopting a cat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Cat lovers unite. Yay. Mr. Poppet is fast asleep right now. He's had his second lunch, so he's all good. And the reason I wanted to have a conversation with you was because you are all about branding and messaging. So you have to be out there, or else it would just be a bit weird. It's like, hey, do the branding, the messaging, but I can't be bothered to show up. I mean, you have to. It's ridiculous, right? But people do that, don't they?
Well, sadly, yes. But preferably if you're teaching branding, you should actually have a brand and maintain it
Yeah,
consistently.
yeah. Now, I want to talk about branding and the messages that we see. So, we're going to be having, the reason I want to have these conversations is because I know you, like you, trust you, work with you. So I know that we can have an honest conversation because that is really, really important. Because to me, it's not all about what do we think people want to hear? What do we think people want to say? Because we have to do that to sell anything. We have to manipulate, if you like, the words and the messages that we put out there so people will take notice. But I'm thinking that what gets lost when we look online, when we venture into the world for the first time, or even, we've been in it for a while and things change, we are being subliminally messaged by this is how you are meant to be. This is what works. This is what you should, and I'm going to say that you should be like, and even if you're somebody who says, I'm going to do my own thing, sometimes that doesn't work either, does it?
No. Usually it's the people who say I'm going to do my own thing who end up not doing their own thing.
That's interesting.
Hmm.
So when you say that, so from an ADHD perspective, and from a people perspective, we all judge everyone, right? We have to. It's an instinct for survival. We need to know if you're going to be a saber-toothed tiger, quite frankly. I talk about that quite a lot. But it is like an innate thing in our evolutionary psychology makeup, right? So we still do judge people because we have to make an instant decision. I think that's something that we're really good at. But based on what we want to believe, I think those beliefs and core values get in the way, and that we will manipulate our own mind. We will trick ourselves into believing something is true when it's not.
Yeah, well, confirmation bias is a big thing, right? A lot of times let's take the simplest example in the world. You really want to like someone,
Yeah,
right? And then they do something questionable, and you will always find ways to excuse that behavior. Then they do it again, and you keep finding reasons. And something really big has to happen, some explosion of negativity for you to finally be like, oh, okay, maybe something is not right here. And the opposite works too. People, when someone is intent, what's the word? Intent, I
intent.
think,
So when they're intent, yeah, when
on
they're
not
intent,
liking you. Yeah,
yeah,
it's the same thing. And I've unfortunately I've experienced both in the online world, but I've experienced a lot of the second, where someone has been so focused on, well, no, she's not knowledgeable, she's not this, she's not that, she's all these bad things. And then something really crazy has to happen. I had that recently actually with a woman who used to leave many negative comments on my ads that
that's
I remembered her name
sure.
because it's quite
Yeah,
a she has a really beautiful name, so I remembered it. And one day she messaged me and she said, I've been hating on you for the last 8 months. And I don't really know why, because I've been watching your content more and more, and then multiple people recommended you to me. And the only reason I was hating on you is because a client of mine said they don't like you. And I
Oh,
thought, wow. So one person's opinion without no personal experience with me got you to that point. But then, and this is what's interesting, it took multiple other people to recommend me, and it took you looking at my stuff for months and months to take yourself out of that. So that's how powerful confirmation bias is, and it's scary, isn't it?
it is scary because one of the first things that we learn when I was studying psychology is just how powerful that is. Well, first of all, when we look back over our lifetime, we are more able to remember negative experiences than
Mhm.
positive, and that is because there's an emotion attached to it.
Yeah.
So, and anger, stress, rage, they are stronger emotions for us that impact physically the chemicals in our body, right? It doesn't take much irritation or annoyance to trigger a little tiny little drip of cortisol or adrenaline running around the body. But it does take quite a lot to send serotonin round or dopamine round. So you might say something funny and I might go, huh, and that's a little laugh, right? You know, because it wasn't that funny, let's be fair.
That was the weakest laugh I have heard. Huh.
And what? Look, oh, but sometimes some things people say are not funny, and so it doesn't do anything to me. I don't ever remember it. And then you'll say something like you just did there, and I'm laughing now, and we're both laughing, and it's going to have more of an impact. So that by the
Mm.
end of the conversation, for example, we'll look back and go, if it was a good experience because we had more laughs than not. But it's the same in life. So I
Yeah.
always remember. Okay, so here's a story. um, somebody who's not going to ever listen to this, but if you are, it's true. What can I say? So my second ex-husband, yes, folks, I had a couple. Um, if they tell you what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, just don't believe them, right? Don't believe it. It's not true. That's all I'm saying. So he when I met him, he lived with his mother. That should have been a red flag. Oh, God.
Red flag.
Red flag. And his mum used to pay the council tax that we have here in the UK. And he used to give her the money for it. It wasn't like she was just paying it for him. He was self sufficient. But he was always late giving it, oh, yeah, I'll give you a check. Yes, I'll do this, get round to it. And because one person had told her that if you miss a payment, you'll go to prison, right? That's what she believed. Now, everybody kept saying to her, no, it's not true. It's fine. Just send it in. As long as it's all paid by the end of the year,
Okay.
that's when they'll start chasing you in it, and tried to explain it. No, she wasn't having it. So he deliberately didn't give her the money for a couple of months and was making jokes about, oh my gosh, it's a noise. They're coming. Oh, it might be for you. Oh, I didn't know handcuffs came in that color. And he would make these jokes to her, and it put her under a lot of stress, right? But you're absolutely right. It took that stress of her not being hauled out the front door and thrown into prison. That wasn't going to happen. For her to believe everybody, even when we showed her online the rules about it, she couldn't believe it. It is so
Mm.
powerful. So what does that mean then? If we're like that and we want to sell what we sell. If we want to just sell anything, if we want to be online, if we want to be leaders, if we want to do speaking, what does that mean for us? If people are going to be impacted by us in that way so much, but also we are going to be equally as impacted by their response.
Hmm. Honestly, while you were talking, I actually thought of. Have you heard that quote from Fitzgerald that the sign of an intelligent mind is to be able to hold two conflicting ideas in your head and still retain your ability to function? That's kind of what I
No,
was thinking when you were talking about this, because and it we need to take that further. It's not just be able to function, but also holding not even two but multiple ideas, multiple different angles of seeing a situation in your mind, and not immediately forming an opinion, just sitting with it, processing before you go, oh, that's it, that's the right thing. That's my opinion. And because in this day and age we're so divided exactly because we have lost our ability or never even gained it to do this. We see an idea and without seeing anything else we go, yep, I'll adopt that. And that's problematic. And usually it's because someone we care about said it to us, or because some politician said it, or because mainstream media said it, and we just go, yep. And then it will take next to nothing, or everything, depending on how you see it, to take us out of that and show us a different perspective. So that's kind of where my mind went when you were talking about this and how dangerous this is, especially in the online business world.
It is dangerous because it makes me think back to the days where people used to go to the doctor. I say that flippantly, folks, because obviously some people are struggling getting doctor's appointments. But what I mean is that you'd go to the doctor, and then whatever it is they told you, you would believe it. Now, there wasn't at the touch of a button or whatever, the ability to go and do any more research or find anything. But, people still did. People used to go to try and find out information if they could. But mostly they didn't. Mostly it was just trust from authority figures, okay? Government, medical profession, schools, everybody. It was that blind parents. Parents were always right, regardless.
Yeah.
And obviously there's been a big shift, and there has, that questions it. But I still think that it hasn't shifted as much as what we think, because we do want to believe the best in people, unless we have real other issues going on. And I'm not talking about that right now. I'm an optimist, right? I always like to see the best in people. There are always, if you just can hit that right thing, that right trigger, whatever it is, that can change somebody from suddenly thinking, oh, and feeling more positive or moving forward or changing their mind. That to me is a big challenge. I love doing that. Absolutely love trying to do that. But people hold on to their values and beliefs, don't they? Because I personally don't want anybody to say to me, well, I don't mind if I've changed my mind in a belief, but ultimately I don't want to look back and go, oh my God, I lived like that for so long. I must have been awful, because it's real negative talk, isn't it? But maybe we were awful. Were we awful? I don't know.
I mean, I was awful. For instance, I grew up in a place where, funnily enough, Bulgaria is one of the countries where we trust authority figures the least. So at least I had that. But also, and it was also a place where you grow up with a lot of beliefs that are very racist,
Yeah.
biased in the worst ways. And when you are in a bubble like that and you've never seen the outside world, even with the internet, because it's so easy to say, well, but you had the internet, why didn't you know all of this? Well, because it's one thing to read something on the internet and another thing to experience it by leaving. And so when I left 10 year, I recently had my 10-year anniversary of leaving last year, which
Right.
bittersweet,
Oh,
bittersweet.
no, no.
But once I left, I realized, oh, wow, it's still a cage. It's just a much bigger cage. And
Yeah.
it's a cage where some things that I held true my whole life are not actually true. And the thing is, when I lived there, and this is why I think it's important to, when you said, oh, what they listen to doctors, well, what they should have listened probably is their bodies and their intuition, right? And we don't do that. We give our
No.
power away constantly to authority figures. Um, and well, where was I getting at? Oh yeah, and I felt it in my heart, not in my mind, in my heart, that certain things were not right. I felt it in my heart that certain people, there's a lot of homophobia in Bulgaria, and I knew this wasn't right. I just couldn't. I didn't have the language. And
Yeah.
the concept in my mind to explain why. And once I left and I experienced it and I, befriended a lot of different people, I was like, wow, yeah, in a tiny, teeny cage, when you're just focused on survival, you can't see outside of that. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. Also, I grew up with two doctors, so I fully
Ah.
I fully felt when you said, "Oh, we listen too much to doctors." Oh yeah, they think they're always right even when they're not.
So do people with ADHD, I think. I think we always think we're right, even though we know we're not. No, I'm just saying. And if we don't think we're right, we'll go and find out the information to make sure we're damn right.
You don't think you're right. You know you're right.
Yeah. Why not? The thing is, you're absolutely right. The thing is, we are conditioned. We do give our power away because we are told we go to nursery school or kindergarten, wherever it
Mm,
is, and we go to school and we have to sit down in straight lines and do things and learn things and listen to the teacher and follow the rules. So we are conditioned from day one to
yeah.
give our power to authority or else because the consequences. I don't know what your schooling was like, but mine was a lot of decades before yours. Just saying. And so in my day, when you didn't turn up, nobody fined the parents. So therefore, nobody even bothered contacting them half the time. So,
Wow.
yeah, when people say, oh, what was it like at school? My school reports would say something like, it would be nice to see more of her.
That's hilarious. I had something similar actually, because I mean, I grew up in Bulgaria. Let's face it, Eastern Europe is not the strictest place in the world. So people would, I clearly remember people would sometimes go into school drunk. People would not show up for school. And the teacher was like, well, yeah, let me write a note.
But, we
A
had
few
that
months later, the
teachers.
parents knew. But then we made copies of the little thingies, the notebooks that they put the stuff, and then we had the perfect one with all the good grades. So really, nothing was digital at the time. So how would your parents know what's real?
Exactly. I mean, I look back now and I know I was just bored. I was just bored, silly. You
Yeah.
know, the pace that you have to learn, and it sort of it reminds me of how when you're bringing people into your world online, into your, that you might have a membership, you might have a group program, you might be doing one-to-ones, whatever it is you're doing, you're helping them go from a starting place to somewhere else, right? And they have paid you to be the authority.
Yeah.
They have given you their power
Yeah.
because now I've paid people money. No, I have to clarify the money. I haven't paid them anything else. I'm just saying. In case anyone was wondering. Cat treats me. Whoops. Dodgy growl. No, seriously. um, and what they're trying to teach me, I'm trying to make it my own
Yeah.
and feel that might work. But the message I'm getting here is that, yes, but you've been doing it your own way before and it hasn't worked. So now try it this way. But I can't, as an ADHD, maybe they're right. Maybe you're absolutely right. And I should just try things. And I do. But as an ADHD, I'm also thinking, I don't want to,
Mhm.
quite frankly.
Yeah.
And that is a typical motivation. I'm not inspired. It's because there is that element of it. So I'm somebody who is less likely to complete a program. I'm more likely to waste my money, and then I can't get back into it. When you have, well, legally, when you have a disability, you are allowed, extra extensions for exams, for example, or for things like that. But nobody seems to sort of offer that in the business world.
Mm.
Anybody can say that, I guess, but maybe that's something we should consider for retention of people in our world, because I don't need to feel nurtured every day. I just need to feel nurtured when I rock up. And I know that can sound quite selfish, but isn't being a business owner quite selfish anyway? I have to involve an element of being selfish. And I say that in the world of not just thinking of self. I'm thinking, no, we have to at times be selfish.
Mm. I would like to also acknowledge a different angle to this conversation, which you touched upon when you started it, about we have so, because of everything you just said, we have so much responsibility as leaders in this space and as business owners and as people constantly bringing people into our world. And what you
Or
just said is a great example of that. But when you were talking about how we give our power away, I think the even larger problem is that so many people will happily let you give your power away, take it, and that's it. Never give it back to you. Never. They just take your power, feed themselves so they can grow and grow and grow and become this monster.
Well,
Um, take that however you will take that. And
right.
then the other person is left, even if they've implemented things, even if things have worked out, they're left feeling powerless. And that's such a common thing in the online space. And it all goes down to, some people say, well, yeah, but that's why we need to focus on having a more ethical message and leading more ethical communities. And yes to all of that. And it doesn't start there. It actually starts with us really tuning deeply into our desire to be of service and reconnecting with why we started doing this in the first place, because we don't start businesses to make sales. Like, we don't, I think if anyone gets in business to just make money, that to me is problematic. Like, you alluded to business being selfish. I see entrepreneurship, I don't just see it as a fuck the rules. I don't want to be under anyone's time and work for someone else. Yes, that's why I started. And then I realized it's not about that at all. It's about impact. It's about being of service. It's about the ripple effect that me being in my power and not taking people's power away, but actually feeding their power with mine, merging that, if you will. This is a bit sexual, but merging our powers.
That's right. Got a merge going on
Whoa,
here.
this took a different direction.
Listen, we spent a week together in a house, so I'm not saying. Hashtag no rumors around here.
You started it now. Um, but yeah, I think it's just such a huge responsibility that we sometimes will allude to it a little bit, just to prop ourselves up and like, oh, I'm doing this now, no one else is. But again, it doesn't start with the message. It doesn't start with what your offer is worded like and what happens inside. It starts in here. And we need to really learn to be better at recognizing who is leading from the heart and who is leading from some motive that is not about being of service for them.
That's a really good thought, because I was just thinking a lot of the marketing and sales tactics that are used online are, and in the outside world, I'm going to just pause because the ice cream man's passing. Anybody want a 99?
That's hilarious. Oh my god.
Oh, I do hope that came through.
Perfect timing.
So we're taught marketing, sales, and a lot of the techniques are to make money, right? How much money can I make from this thing I'm launching or selling, or however we do it, right? You write a new book, you want to make money, you want to sell it. It's always best up front when you start. Then we have upsells and downsells, and we want to make offers, and we want to try and get maximum return on investment, ROI, on what we might have invested through our finances or our time to generate as much income as we possibly can, because that is the purpose of the thing that we're doing, right? But we're all used to that. We're used to that way. We don't have to do it that way. There's lots of different ways of selling. I'm just saying we have to go out there and show up. We have to talk about it. We have to actually tell people what we're saying. There's things that you have to do anyway to sell, right? So when the different types of things that you're selling, sometimes you're going to be working with people who need you. We're also told to focus on pain points. We're also told, and I know you like this aspect, which I really do, because being the optimist, is focus on what people want to, where do they want to be. But it does actually take a mix of both, right?
Yeah.
Because you've got some people that will respond to trying to move away from where they are now, and because it's really stressful or overwhelming, and others who are just stuck and want to desperately feel like they're behind, or they're just not achieving enough, or they're feeling different emotions for not having been, somewhere. So there's two ways of looking at it. Either way, when we're making that decision, we're at a vulnerable position. And so what you said was, yes, we need to have more conversations. We need to have better ways of identifying who is selling from the heart and who is selling from the money, from money, just to try and I've got likes, I've got 1 million here, I did this, and hey, here's my course on how to create courses to sell it to course leaders who create courses for course leaders who also branch out and teach mini courses. Do you see what I mean? And I know we've all been caught up on there. So I think I want to know, I want to throw this out there to everybody, but I really want to know is, how much of a responsibility do we have for buying into something that we believe is going to help us? Okay, because we're invulnerable, therefore, our decision-making skills may not be 100%. So what does that mean?
I love that because, yes, there is a responsibility on both sides. This is true. But to me, the majority of the responsibility always lies with the person selling the thing. As I mean, I'm a buyer, I'm a seller, I'm both things. But as the person selling the thing, bringing the people into my world, I just see it as, is my focus to educate people as much as possible on the offer and exactly what they're buying, or is my focus just FOMO? Just join immediately. If you join immediately within 5 hours, here's all of these bonuses that you just cannot pass up. And I've done that. I was taught that.
Yeah, I mean, most people have, let's face it.
And I hate it. I like genuinely looking back, and I know no regrets and all of that, but oh, if we're being realistic, I do not feel good about myself when I look back and I see some of that. And
Wow.
when I change things up in my business, which honestly is a work in progress, I'm still changing things. But to me, the biggest shift has been on really focusing on, hey, here's the offer, here's every single thing you need to know about it. Let's have a conversation about how much you actually want this. I don't want you to need it. If you need it, fine, but I'm not going to market it that way, because I think it's one thing for a person to acknowledge, you know what, I feel like I need a membership or whatever, because it will really help me feel fulfilled and I need that right now. That's fine. But for me as the seller, to turn a marketer, to turn around and say, you need this, so deeply, and if you don't have this, you'll never be complete. To me, that's unethical.
Yes, if you're never, yes. You get an email saying, oh, I know you've bought this, but actually, even though you've got this after you've bought it, most people only really make the best value out of it if they also have this. And I noticed you didn't buy this at the same time.
See, that's not good.
Like,
A good,
I
yeah.
just really,
Like I
honestly,
love
what?
I love an upsell as
Yeah,
much as the next person. Like I love
yeah,
an upsell, but that's not the one.
no.
Like
I
the
was like,
one
really?
thing
I
you should
really need it.
the
Sell
one
it to
thing
me
you
and
should
get
never
it.
do is make people feel like what they just bought is not enough. Like
Exactly.
it's one thing to say what you just said, and it's another which is disgusting, and it's another thing to say, hey, here's another extra layer, even though what you already have will help you achieve X, Y, and Z. I even look at free experiences that way. Like when I sell, so I'm obsessed with challenges, for example. I love running challenges. 4-day challenges are my new obsession, because it's such a fantastic way to build a community and really
Yeah,
like serve,
yeah,
just serve,
yeah. Love skeleton
and
too.
then the
Yeah.
sales just happen because you're serving. And
Yes.
I always tell them, like, listen, if you just follow what I've done here with you over the last 4 days, you will accomplish this. Well, I can't say will, but you can accomplish this, right? This is
Wow.
a complete process I've given you.
Yes.
However, if you want the full process, here you go. I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not saying, hey, well, I gave you something, it was crap. Now get what you really need and pay me. Which unfortunately is what marketing books teach us to do.
Yes, it does. And um, I do think. Well, I know. I look back and I know when I have operated from a place of scarcity.
Mm.
Now, that was because I was genuinely skint, right? And the pressure. Oh my gosh! I know that there's so many people out there that really feel it. And it's
Mhm.
not, pushing aside all the tactics of like, well, putting on a credit card, forget all that for a minute, because that used to happen. And I know it still does. But overall, I think we've hopefully moved on from that because enough people have said, hey, don't do it. Right. I mean, the thing is, when you're coming from a place of scarcity, if you're selling for a start, it puts the pressure on. It feels personal.
Yeah.
and you start scrabbling around trying to throw in this, that, and the other to make more sales. And then what happens is the money that comes in, you're literally living on, and you don't have any other money to invest in helping to grow and take the next step forwards. And you're in this endless loop, right? And it takes something big. It normally takes a big shift, stop working, doing something that no guru, no online business consultant could do for you. That's something within your life, not necessarily the business. And I don't think that sometimes, I do believe that just hoping for the best, I don't believe that's good enough. Now, for some people, that works really, really well. Okay. For some of us, we feel like we're backed into a corner. And actually, that's how my mind works. My mind is like, you've got me in a corner here. Get me out of this corner. But I come out with like, right, okay, so I'm going to find a way. There's got to be a way. There's always got to be a way. I've had my little tantrum, stamped to my feet, had a little moan, told, the woman over the fence, I'm in thing, this, that, and the other. And then I go away, process it, and I want to find a way. And I have to weigh up the odds. Okay, now, and I know not everybody does that. I didn't used to. It's what you said when we first started talking about taking that pause and having that moment to think, okay, what are the consequences of me doing it? And what are the consequences of me not doing it?
Yes.
I mean, these are two fairly obvious ones.
Yeah.
But there's also the other ones, bring you, which says, what are the negative impact if I do it? And what's the negative impact if I don't do it? So what's the positive impact if I do it? And what's the positive impact if I don't do it? Because actually that can help swing things around a bit, breaking it into those 4 questions rather than just say, well, what are the pros and cons, and weighing it up. I think we have
that.
we have to open it up more, don't we? Because I know, and I know you know this as well, that many people have invested, I don't know, a comfortable amount. I don't mean a lot of money. What I'm saying is an amount that they were comfortable investing in, right? I've done it myself. And because I was okay, it didn't leave me skint, I will honestly say I didn't put 100% into it.
Yeah.
I didn't,
That's
quite
big.
frankly.
And that happens to so many people. And that's why I think my business became successful so fast, because at the time I did not have a choice. I couldn't even I couldn't find a job. I was living in a foreign, very expensive country called Denmark. Going
Oh,
home wasn't really an option at the time. So I just, it was just one path that I saw. And I think if you only, logically, if we go back, there probably were other paths, but what matters is I only saw one path.
yes.
And the problem or challenge that arises now with so many people, especially from the Western world, is like, okay, you're starting a business or you're already running a business and you have all these choices, right? I am amazed, and like I live
Yeah.
in a Western country right now. I'm so grateful to the choices I have now, but also I like deep respect to any person from the West who makes a business work, and I fully understand there's poverty here too. There's all of that, but
Absolutely. Yeah.
even through that, you get so much more support than would ever get back home. So
Yeah.
to me, it deserves, I think, more respect, because people always tell, oh, respect, like you made it work. Yeah, but you have all these choices and you still made it work. And so
Yeah.
that's why when I make investments in my business, which I do a lot, um, I really try very hard. And maybe this is not healthy. I don't know, but it helps me. Hi, Mr. Puppet. I love you. I miss you.
Just to say, if you're listening, my cat just jumped in. Mr. Poppet's here.
Oh my god. Okay, well, that's the end of any conversation, because now we should just talk about cats. I think I approach every investment now, and again, I don't know if that's healthy or not, but I really try to bring myself back to that mindset where this is the path. There's only one path. You have all the skin in the game. You have no choice but to not make this work, but to show up for this, because you don't know if you're going to make it work. But what you can guarantee yourself is that you will show up to the best of your ability and implement to the best of your ability. Now, it's either going to work or not. I'm not a fan of treating investments as, oh my God, I just invested 100 grand. If this doesn't work, failure, because you learn
Right?
from everything. You really
Yes.
do.
Yeah. I'm very, very selective with what I invest in. And thinking about all the options, I have been doing some things today, for example, and I sometimes feel that I am a victim of my own creativity because my brain sees all the choices and all the options, and and here's the thing. I don't know why. I actually don't know why. It's just occurred to me. I don't know why I feel the need to eliminate them all. And then now I've just suddenly realised it's the fear of missing out, isn't it?
Ooh, wait, to eliminate more.
Yes. So
What do
if
you
you've got,
mean?
let's just say you have 5 options in front of you, right? And I know that, well, let's just say I'm exploring 1 or 2 options, and suddenly I notice, oh my gosh, there's 3 more options here. Wow, for me to think about. Now, this could be on the surface a really good thing. I could weigh it up and think, oh, brilliant, new perspective, someone show me something different, whatever that is. And so, first of all, I then get caught up in a loop of like, oh my gosh, now I can see so many potential possibilities. I feel like I'm a victim of that creativity, that creative mind that just sees it all spanning out. So I'm now struggling to try and pin one down.
Hmm. That makes sense. But that's not
Yeah,
necessarily a bad thing.
no, but the thing is, I know other ADHDers probably feel this. And also I think people from when I was coming from when I didn't have as much money, I wanted to make sure I had ticked all the boxes. It didn't want to leave a stone unturned because I wanted to be a success so badly. I sort of lost sight a bit of what the goal was, what the intention was. And it wasn't to treat, because I forgot. It took me a long time to realize that it doesn't matter if you make a decision and start a journey, you can change your mind.
Yeah.
Now, I know it's obvious, but when you're caught up in the moment,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
forget the simple. I believe our mind we become incredibly narrow-minded. As much as we don't want to be, I'm an open-minded person. No, actually, when I'm making a decision, I think I become very narrow-minded, and I forget quite often what could be important. I don't know. Have you ever been faced with choices and they're both as good, and you just think, oh, and you can't make a choice, and then actually, really that it's probably just, why do you need to investigate both of them? Just take one, just do one.
I have a slightly different thing because I didn't grow up with any choices. So now when I'm presented with choices, my mind instantly goes to, I gotta have it all. Like,
Yes,
there's no other, like in my mind, it's not even like I'll have this and this and this. And that creates its own set of problems, of course, and challenges.
yes.
Um, Sometimes it's been good for me. Sometimes it's been like, take mentorship, for example. I've worked with a couple of people. Oh, sorry. I've worked with a couple of people at the same time, which was helpful. But then I've seen people work with a couple of different mentors simultaneously, and that's the worst thing that could happen to them because you have conflicting mentorship, you have conflicting concepts being introduced. Other one person doesn't like what the other one said, so I'd say avoid this. I think I was
Yes.
just lucky, but yeah, it's hard. It's hard for me sometimes to make a choice. So this is why I have been so focused over the last year and a half, couple of years to really work on energy and not just think with this, my mind, but think with my heart as well and really focus on the energetics behind everything, which is still kind of new to me, really. Because that can really help guide you on what choice to make. Because if we just look at it with our minds, then every choice can look good, you
Well,
know?
that's absolutely right. Yeah, yeah, 100%. Because we all need money. We need money to survive. We want money to do the things, to invest, whatever. Okay, that's a given, right? But I'm not inspired by money. I'm not
Same,
motivated by it.
same. Yeah.
When I don't have any, then I am totally motivated to make some, but I'm not coming at it from the right perspective. And so therefore my decision-making skills are skewed, completely skewed, right? Because when I've done a challenge or when I've opened a new launch or done anything like that, I am I'm far more excited, like you said you were, by the amount of people that show up, that you can have fun and chat, and I spark all the ideas. Now, obviously, if no one buys anything at all, then there's something quite wrong. But if there's a lot of engagement, if there's tons of things going on, and then you don't say anything, I wouldn't blame myself. I've learned that it's the tools that I'm using. It's the approach I've had. I did a launch a challenge over a year ago now, and I actually forgot. It was having so much fun. I forgot to mention what it was I was selling until the end, until the last day. I was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I completely forgot." But you know what? It didn't matter. It was okay. It was absolutely fine because I didn't go at it with the intention of desperately making money because I've got to live this month.
Yeah.
I didn't have that attitude. Now, maybe I did need the money. I did at the time. I have been in that place where I did. And it's really difficult to let that go, though, isn't it? It's
Oh my
really,
God. It's so
how do
tough.
you even let that go? Because how do you trust somebody when you're feeling like that?
Yeah. I see it. And obviously I've been with the scarcity mindset still for most of my life. I only let go of it a couple of years into my business. So let's say for the last 5 years, maybe I haven't had a scarcity mindset. And when you've lived with it for so long, it still bubbles up sometimes, which you have to be aware of and smash it to pieces,
Yeah.
or heal it or whatever. But to me, when I started my business, I was very much in my scarcity mindset. And I think, and again, this is not very healthy, but this is what happened to me. Rather than focusing on, oh my God, I just really so badly need this money, because I think that would have made me fail. Failure
Yeah.
is not a thing, but I would not have been successful as fast as I was, because my business scared me how quickly it exploded. I instead focused quite subconsciously at the time on just proving people wrong. I was just like, you know what? Everyone always told me I wouldn't amount to anything. Fuck them all. I'm going to show them all. And for the first couple of years there, that really was a driver for me. And then as you begin to do more and more work and see those transformations in people, at least in my case, you just begin again subconsciously to slowly let more and more go of that. And at some point, I find myself realizing, you know what? I actually don't care about that anymore.
Yeah.
But it would have been so much worse if I had been like, you know what? I just need to make money. Let's manipulate people in any way that we can so we can make money. Instead, I was like, let's be as valuable as humanly possible to people so I can prove everyone wrong. And I
Right.
just have always wanted to be the most valuable person to someone. And when I say most valuable, as in give them whatever I can. Like I will help you however I can to see that transformation in you and to see that ripple effect from you, because I work with business owners, right? So you can really see that ripple effect. When you
Yeah.
help one person, they end up helping other people, and you played a
Yeah.
tiny part in that. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. No, I love that. I absolutely love that. And I think it sort of brings us round quite nicely to how we uh, put that out there in our branding and our messaging and how we show up. Like we said, for you to do that and to do the type of business you do, you have to show up. You have to be
Yeah.
all there, and that can be totally misunderstood by so many who are perhaps not as successful or don't feel that they can be for whatever reason it is. Education, looks, race, gender, whatever it is, that's impacting their self-worth or impacting their ability to believe that they can. And most of the time, it's based on personal experiences. And so therefore, at that moment in time, I'm going to throw this out there. I would say it's technically true because you are in a situation, a state of such vulnerability, of There is more negativity about what you can't do running around, flowing around your body and your mind and your brain than there is positivity. So therefore, I think it's harder to notice and spot and trust opportunities. And then you could have 5 good opportunities and take them works really well. You have one negative one and you go, see, I told you the week was rubbish, and you forget, like we did when we started talking, we tend to forget that. And I'm a great believer in thinking forward. I think we can be trapped by our own goals because I think we forget that we can change our mind. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, does it matter how we get somewhere? And I think that means that when we take the pressure off that we have to do step 1, 2, and 3 in that order, like you, I've always tried to prove people wrong. I'm sorry, folks. I still, this time later, do not have a downloadable PDF freebie. I'm just saying. How many times, how many years ago did I tell you that when we first met? And you said, you don't know. Everyone's like, no. And it's like, oh, I think you should have one. Oh, we should do this. Yeah. I'll pay lip service. Still don't have one.
I think you should do whatever you want to do, because at the end of the day, and this is what marketing books don't teach you, is anything can be turned into a successful business. Any strategy can be made, anything can be turned into a strategy. Any strategy can become a successful strategy. And people don't tell you that. So then you learn someone's step-by-step system. And I'm pretty open about that with my clients is, here's my system, make it yours. Like
Yes.
the way I design my systems is, okay, step 1, here's 10 different ways to do step 1 rather than step 1 way or the highway. And to bring it back to what you said about making a decision, I am a firm believer that there are no wrong decisions. And I've really put that to the test over the years. Like I've really, and I've thought about it a lot. And the reality is that every decision you make will take you closer to where you need to be, because you will learn from it. One way or another, you will learn from it. So at the end of the day, the worst thing for me is not making a decision, even though technically that also is making a decision. But then you're making a decision from such a disempowering way, though.
Yes. No, that's right. And to be fair, if you got to try something, at least you've found out it doesn't work, so you can eliminate it. I quite like to eliminate everything first of all. Right, let's just get all that out of the way. Let's just focus on what we can do. I am not afraid of failing, and I don't mind trying something new for the first time. Like you said, I'll be the one that says, come on, hey, let's go and do this thing. And I've never done it before. And you think, she obviously knows what she's talking about. I don't. I'm just saying. I have no idea I'm going at it because I've just embraced it.
I love that.
Let's just do it. But I am very mindful of people who are coming along for the ride with me. And I think that is the message I'd really like to put out there. We need to have this type of conversation. We need to have talks about, take a chance. You know what? People aren't going to like you. That's just the way it is. They're not going to like you because they don't look as good as you. They're not going to like you because you make more money than them. They're not going to like you for a million reasons. And do you know what? Do you like everyone? I don't, quite frankly. I don't like everyone. Why did I spend a chunk of my life trying to get everyone to like me when I didn't even like them? Let's just ridiculise this. Let's just put that out there. You're setting yourself up for an impossible task. So I do now. I do now. I am more discerning, I think, as I've got older. I do stop. I do think. I do contemplate more. And that's, I think, the message is that have the conversation, try it out. You're not going to, if you do try and sell something, have a launch, whatever you're doing, and it's your first one, and there's always a possibility. But it's very unlikely that you're suddenly going to become a millionaire within 6 months, right? Yes, it happens. Yes, it does. There's no doubt about it. But mostly, it doesn't. Okay, you have to build it, and you have to grow,
and it's not something to aim for either.
You have to change things.
No. Yeah, like why would you first of all, why would you be like, "Oh, I want to be a millionaire in 6 months." Okay, 6 months or 12. Or why are we why are we making that the goal? And this is the most toxic mindset I had to take myself out of, because for the longest time I was like, why am I not a millionaire? Why am I not a millionaire? And it's just
Yeah.
so ridiculous. Who even gives a shit? It will happen when it happens. And I had to let go of that. And the moment I did it was I realized just how disempowered I had made myself, and how I'd taken my power and willingly given it away to a number.
Yes.
Because yes, for me, like behind running a 7-figure business, there's so many things, like, like coming from where I come from, really breaking the generational curse of like all of the
Yeah.
things. And yes, but still, that doesn't make it any healthier to aim for these numbers, in my opinion.
No, I mean, okay, you've proved a point. Yeah. So now what?
Yeah.
You know, where's the character?
Yeah.
Where's you? Where's the person in behind it? Because there has to be more than that. And I do believe that when we are in that scarcity mindset, and I'm saying it like it's like a bad thing, it's like, oh, the scarcity monster. I just want to say and put that out there that times are tough when we don't have enough money and we want to do more and we're struggling to try and do everything.
Yeah.
It is tough. I don't want to make that sound flippant in any way at all. But I do want to say out loud, when you're in that situation, it changes how you see what will bring you joy each day. Because I'm an ex-social worker. One of the first things we learned in psychology and social work is about Maslow's hierarchy of need, right? And what that basically means is that if you don't have anywhere to live that's safe, if you don't have enough food, if you don't have enough water and shelter, there's no way you could think about, enlightenment or learning something new. You're focusing on your needs at the time. And so I want to put that out there as something positive. It's like wherever you are on the ladder or wherever your needs are, that's okay. It's good to try and reach for the next level or reach for the next things. But if you don't try and work out the best way you can live within where you are right now, you're going to have this little niggly thing scratching at the back of your brain, anxiety, worry, stress, what have you, which is going to impact any decisions you make going forward. And that could determine whether or not your business is successful in that moment. I
Mhm.
mean,
Yeah, I agree. And I
yeah,
think that, not to say that, because obviously maybe someone's listening to also everything I said and thinking, oh, but what's wrong with wanting to reach monetary milestones in my business? No, no, absolutely
nothing's
nothing.
wrong.
I like, don't get me wrong, we run businesses. Like, I'm not one of those like
Yes.
la 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 la, whatever happens happens. No, like, of course I have goals, but and you can have goals and you can focus on things like being valuable, being of service, spreading your impact, growing as a leader, growing as a business owner. And then the goals are just the outcome of that, rather than the other way around, where it's like, what, when I become a millionaire, that's where I'll focus on impact. And that's when I'll focus on being of service. Like, no, this gets you to that.
Yes. I think that gets so overlooked.
Yeah.
Focus on where you are right now,
Yeah.
make the best of it, because I'm telling you that if you don't keep some element of joy and bringing what makes you feel good into life, then you're waking up and you won't look forward to going to your own business. I mean, not looking forward to going to work. You think, oh, God, got to do all this. If you wake up feeling like that, that's a red flag. Something's wrong. Something is wrong.
Yep.
And it's not necessarily because you don't have enough money. It's because you're not feeling fulfilled. And
Yes.
yes, money can bring you happiness for things. Let's not beat around that. But unless you're going to do something with your money, people who say, I'm going to win the lottery, are going to spend it all on, well, you would spend it all on setting up cats protection places around the world. So that would bring you fulfillment because you're using it for the power of good. So regardless, we still need to have something which brings us, the joy, the fulfillment,
Yeah.
And if we're struggling, I mean, if you were to, I'd like to really, I think we've had such an amazing conversation, and I'd really like to leave a message for anybody out there who is feeling like they are struggling, they're resonating with what we're saying. They perhaps don't, or quite likely don't have money to invest. So let's just take that out of the equation. What could they do for themselves right now that they need to think about or look at that's going to help for them waking up tomorrow morning and feeling more positive or optimistic about their business?
May not be instant. However, one thing that has helped a lot of people, myself included, is just questioning everything. When I started questioning myself, my own stories, because we all have the stories that lead our lives, that we again give our power to. And when I started questioning some of the negative stories that I was living it, like, oh, but I'm just not good at this, but this is just not for me, but I just can't. I had a client today say, yeah, but I'm just not good at marketing. When we question all of these things, you may just be very surprised by what lies on the other side of that. Because what lies on the other side might be directly connected to you getting everything you've ever wanted. And all it took was for you to begin questioning the stories you tell yourself.
Oh, I love that. So, as an example, I I can't do marketing. I would say, why?
Yeah.
Why is that? That is because you let them fill in the gaps and trace that back. Where did that come from?
Mhm.
And it will come from a belief system that we've brought into a world where that belief system doesn't work because
Mhm.
it worked when we were in a different world, and now we're in the
Mhm.
world of online business or whatever world. So therefore we have to shift the belief systems because they're not. But my belief system I had growing up, not knowing I had ADHD, is completely different now I know I have it. Now I know that's why. My belief system has completely shifted and changed. So
Mhm.
I haven't brought all that with me. It's like, why? So I love that. Let's ask more questions. Let's have more conversations, honest ones.
With ourselves, because, and this is a perfect full circle moment, because we started this with questioning authority and not giving away our
Yep.
power to authority, but it's not just about that. It's also about questioning yourself. It's also about asking yourself, well, this thing I've always believed, is it actually true? This thing I've been telling myself for the last 40 years, is it actually real? Where is the evidence? And the perceived evidence that I'm seeing, is it actual evidence? You have
Yeah.
no idea where this is going to take you. And I guarantee you it will lead you to more positive spaces in your mind.
Oh, that's a lovely way to end an amazing conversation, Des. Thank you so, so much for being behind the strategy with me. I've loved every moment of it. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. This was one of the best conversations I've had. And we didn't even include Mr. Poppet. So next time.
Well, he came in, he took his snacks and he went. Typical. That's all I can say.
You gotta love the confidence of a cat.
We shall end it there. I love that. You've got to love the confidence of a cat. Thank you so much. Speak to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Behind the Strategy. I hope you enjoy listening to the next one. Please subscribe so you get notified of when that's published. And if you'd like to find out more, please pop over to thestrategysuccesslab.com. And please do share this with anyone who you think might need this today.